Hey guys, what's up? So I just want to show you another example of draft theory. First of all, before I start showing what actually happened in the drafting phase, this is me by the way. I just want you to know in this particular draft, I didn't actually draft that well. I made a couple of mistakes, and I'm going to go through them. But we still ended up winning the match, and I'm going to explain that as well. So let's see what happened.
DotA team ban.
Now we're the Radiant, of course. Now they banned Leshrac, which is great because these days I do ban Leshrac a lot. I just think he's too much of a pain to deal with.
Radiant team ban.
I banned Queen of Pain next, like I said. I hate playing against Queen of Pain players. She can carry a pub game on her own.
DotA team ban.
And they banned Tusk, which is a fair pick because a fair ban because Puck is picked quite a lot these days, and he has that invulnerability snowball, which makes him problematic.
Radiant team ban.
Now I banned Techies this time because he's another hero that's just too difficult for pubs to deal with. Normally I would ban the Storm, but I have started letting people pick Storm a bit more often, so I could try and think up counter picks for him. So that's why I banned the Techies instead of the Storm, but I still always ban the Queen of Pain. Because in the laning phase, she's just too powerful. And it's so important for your mid to be able to do decently, right? If the mid fails, then your chances of winning a pub game are a lot lower. Obviously, they're picking first, so they have the slight advantage here. Usually, when you pick first, you want to pick the flexible support that can fit into any lineup.
5 seconds remaining.
Now they're taking a while to pick, which is unusual. The first pick is, of course, I guess the least important pick because you can keep it flexible. But they must be deciding among themselves. There you go. So this guy picked Dazzle. That's what I would do, to be honest. I would pick a flexible support. Dazzle can fit into any lineup. He's such a great first pick. He doesn't reveal anything about their lineup, and it fits into any type of team.
Radiant team pick.
Now we have 2 picks in a row now, right? This is me drafting here. You can see the little captain's icon, the little crown. And this guy is the captain of the other team. Now here I was asking my team which support heroes they can play. And I don't think any of them answered me at the time, so I just ended up picking Witch Doctor because Witch Doctor is sort of a counter to Dazzle.
10 seconds
in a way, right? Dazzle isn't really countered that hard by anyone, but Witch Doctor is at least a semi-counter to him because Death Ward going through the Weave armor, and of course Maledict going through the Shallow Grave when it wears off.
Radiant team pick.
And it's not always that good to pick Witch Doctor that early because he is countered by a lot of heroes like Tidehunter, Silence, or whatever. But I mean, he's an all-round support. He can fit into any lineup. He's okay. I normally wouldn't pick Witch Doctor first. I'd wait till a bit later. But this time I thought, he's okay. Even if he fails, at the very least he has Voodoo Restoration to help out his teammates, even if he's completely useless. I picked Zeus next, which is not something you're normally meant to do. Typically, you're meant to leave the mid pick until later on, because if you pick the mid too early, he's going to get countered, and if your mid gets owned, then it's pretty much guaranteed a lost game, at least in the pub sector. But otherwise, the reason I picked Zeus out of all mids in particular is because the thing about Zeus is even if he's, countered or whatever, it's still really easy for him to get farm against any mid laner. It doesn't matter who it is. Zeus is going to get farm, right? Even if it's an OD, even if it's a TA, Zeus is going to get farm with Arc Lightning. That's just how the hero works. So he is quite a safe mid if you're looking for pub picks. Zeus is quite a safe pick.
DotA team pick.
And also another reason I picked Zeus, and this is something you shouldn't do, by the way. Another thing you shouldn't do. You shouldn't really pick more than one hero just to counter one of their heroes. I picked Witch Doctor. That's one hero to counter Dazzle. I picked Zeus, another hero to counter Dazzle. You really shouldn't pick more than one to counter the enemy hero. I did that anyway. That was a mistake. Try not to do that.
Earthshaker.
Now they picked Earthshaker. I imagine the reason for that was just because they wanted a flexible support. Another one, which was the right choice, sort of, because now it limits the amount of other supports they can pick. They can't really pick any niche supports later on because they picked 2 supports already. But another major reason they picked Earthshaker is because he's easy to gank against Zeus, and obviously he's a great Witch Doctor counter, even if Witch Doctor gets Glimmer Cape.
Bad.
So right now the enemy team's picks are pretty solid, right?
10 seconds
Our picks,
remaining.
like I said, they weren't that good. It's not really
5
good to pick
seconds
the mid hero
remaining.
that early. It used to be that I picked the mid hero last, like at the very last picks, but they changed that, I think, a couple of years ago, the way the drafting works. So I stopped doing that. And they banned the Bounty Hunter. I'm not really sure why. I think they just wanted, they were afraid of Bounty Hunter roaming around for low health heroes before Zeus ultied them, which is a fair call. I banned the Spirit Breaker. The last thing you want is a Spirit Breaker against a Zeus. Zeus is one of the easiest food heroes like Sniper. The last thing you want is Spirit Breaker on the enemy team charging the Zeus. I had to ban him straight away. That's why the ban time was straight away after the Bounty Hunter. I could already see, as soon as I picked the Zeus, I could see that the Spirit Breaker had to go. And they banned this Slark. They wanted to get rid of the, I guess they just must have thought he was problematic or something. Slark doesn't really fit into this lineup at all. His Dark Pact is maybe useful, but Slark pretty much loses to AoE, like Earthshaker, so I'm not, and Dazzle, because Shallow Grave, so I'm not really sure why they banned him. If you've got a Dazzle on your team and an Earthshaker, there's really no need to ban the Slark. I banned the Pudge because, once again, he's a long range, like Earthshaker, long range channel canceller, sorry. And, you know, Zeus is pretty much food to Pudge, so I banned the Pudge, just like I banned the Spirit Breaker. I wanted to ban heroes that Zeus would be food against, and Witch Doctor.
Same pick.
Now here I was asking my team what they can play. It's very important, of course, to always find out what heroes your team can play. It doesn't matter if you have the best lineup in the world. If you pick heroes that they suck with, then your team's going to lose no matter what. So that doesn't mean they have to be completely pro at the hero. They just have to know how to play the hero at least half decently. And that's why I picked Mirana. Obviously, none of my teammates said they could play Mirana, but Mirana is such a piss easy hero. You just arrow and leap and Moonlight Shadow. All her spells are brain dead. And the reason I picked her was because I thought, what would be a good offlaner that might be able to get past Earthshaker's Fisher? Mirana is the good choice, which is probably why they banned Slark, come to think of it, because they're afraid of Slark leaping over the Fisher. But Mirana can do that as well. And that's why I picked her. She can offlane really well against this hero. She just leaps out of the way when he fishes. And on top of that, she's also really flexible. Right. She's a hero that fits into literally any lineup. She's not useless in any sense of the word. They picked Phoenix. They probably just wanted to go for another sort of hero like Mirana that's flexible and has an easy escape through the Icarus dive. But another reason they picked Phoenix is because of Zeus's ultimate and Maledict and Death Ward. Three big spells, or 2 heroes, which are countered by Supernova. So that's why they picked the Phoenix. It was a pretty good pick on their behalf. But, of course, now we'll see the weakness of picking Phoenix. And that is because he's not actually that great in the lane. His, as you know, his Icarus dive's cooldown is 36 seconds, which is a lot lower than Leap's, a lot higher than Leap's cooldown.
Reserve time.
Now, I wanted to pick a carry here because I knew they were going Phoenix. And once they pick an offlaner, which is the Phoenix's likely role, that's when you can say it's safe to pick my safe lane carry. right? I already had the offlaner, I already had the mid, I already had the safe lane support. They picked the offlaner. I know what my safe lane carry is going to be up against. It's going to be safe to pick the carry at this point. And when you're up against a Phoenix, the best carries are ones with stuns to stop the Icarus dive. So that's why my carry pick was the one with the stun. Another reason I picked Wraith King was because they have two big initiation heroes. Wraith King is the best carry to protect against initiations, right? Because if he gets initiated on, he has his ultimate. So now I already have two stunning heroes in the lane, right? They can already both beat Phoenix, which is what happened, right? They were getting, I think, a couple kills on the Phoenix bot. So the bot lane ended up working out really well. They picked the Gyrocopter. Gyrocopter, I'm not really surprised about. There's absolutely 0 point of them picking that though, because Mirana and the Wraith King are both counters to Gyrocopter. She can leap out of the way of his spells, and he has the reincarnation. So the Gyrocopter was a bad pick on their behalf.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Now here I banned Viper just because I was afraid of, they haven't picked their mid hero yet. I was afraid of a mid hero like Viper countering Zeus.
DotA team ban.
And the reason I banned Pudge and Spirit Breaker before Viper was because Pudge and Spirit Breaker can feed off Zeus, but Viper, you know, he might not get harassed as easily, but he'll still get, he won't be able to kill Zeus as easily as these two. So that's why I banned Viper last out of these two. And you'll also notice that 4 of my bans are mid heroes, or heroes that would screw up my mid hero. And that's because you really, like I said, you really need your mid hero to succeed. If he doesn't succeed, the chances of your whole team winning are pretty much over. You need Zeus to get that farm, and they banned the Husker. And I want to tell you something, guys. I was considering picking Husker early on, because they have Gyrocopter and they have Phoenix and they have Earthshaker. It's a lot of magic damage. The reason I didn't pick Husker in the end was because I knew we wouldn't have the last pick, and I was afraid of them countering Husker later on. And of course, Dazzle is more or less half a counter to Husker anyway. So I was considering picking Husker, but they banned him anyway. So that's fine. Husker is of course a huge counter to Gyrocopter. Slightly so Earthshaker, he can leap over the fissure.
5 seconds remaining.
And here we had a lot of spare time left, over a minute. That's because I made my picks fast and the bans fast. I was asking my team which heroes they can play, but I ended up being the last one to play the hero, and I ended up picking Shadow Demon for a few reasons. One is because Shadow Demon is what I call a niche support, and a niche support is a hero like Treant Protector that, if picked in the exact right time against the exact right lineup, he really flourishes because of his unique ability. Disruption is fantastic against that team. It pretty much it's a soft counter to Gyrocopter. It stops Phoenix's Icarus dive in his tracks. It stops Earthshaker's initiation. Shadow Demon is a great support against 3 of their heroes, and that's why I had to pick him last. If you pick Shadow Demon too early, they would have picked other heroes that are better against him. And another reason, of course, I picked Shadow Demon was because he's a great combo against, with Mirana in the off lane, right? I knew at this point that we could Shadow Demon in the safe lane, but I thought 2 stunners were already enough to deal with a Phoenix. I knew they would Phoenix off lane, a solo off lane, but even if they didn't, Shadow Demon would have just come to the safe lane to help out Wraith King. But I figured Wraith King and Witch Doctor, 2 stunning heroes, would be enough against Phoenix. You really don't need more than that, so I figured, okay, what's a support that can help Mirana in the offlane? Shadow Demon could help Mirana, protect Mirana against things like Homing Missile, Call Down, and, just general ganks by this tri-lane. And on top of that, of course, we have the classic Disruption and Sacred Arrow combo. So Shadow Demon was a 2-pronged choice here, obviously to protect against their team and also to help offensively with Secret
Dire
Arrow.
team
And their last pick was
Radiant team.
their last team was Tiny. Not really sure why they picked Tiny. I think they wanted a semi-counter to Wraith King with the melee. They wanted a stunner against Witch Doctor. They put Tiny mid, right? That was obviously the wrong choice because Zeus ended up shitting all over him. Yes, they could have picked better heroes mid, but you know, even if they did, even if Zeus is countered mid, then he's still going to get a lot of farm, which is what matters. And what's very important about their lineup, you'll notice that even if they may have the stronger team fight lineup, the fact of the matter is they don't have any heroes to stop Zeus. Zeus, I'll give you a summary of what happened. Zeus ended up getting a lot of farm. He got his Bloodstone, his 4 stuff, whatever items he got, I can't remember. And he ended up helping a lot. Mirana ended up going AFK for like 5 minutes of the game, but we still ended up winning. That's because Wraith King was able to farm really comfortably in the safe lane with Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor fed a few times, but even then we still won. We won with actual flying colors, right? And another reason was because Shadow Demon is sort of a semi-counter to Tiny, but he was sort of just doing well overall against their team because he soft counters a lot of their heroes. And that's pretty much what happened. So stay tuned, you guys, for more drafting theory. Oh, and yeah, just don't forget another reason was because Wraith King's ultimate was a great counter to Tiny Blink initiation. So yeah, this draft basically shut all over them. And stay tuned for more drafting theory.